Good morning. It's 7:32. Oh, is that the beautiful Jane? Oh, the beautiful Jane is with me this morning. It's always a huge pleasure. She is lovely. She has everything ready for me when I get in. Everything. It's the 7th day of July, and I've got a feeling that I've got a medical appointment a little later. I better look into that. In the meantime, here's Ben Sound Ukulele to welcome you into the day. Oh, I guess you can't hear me. I'm talking over it again. Never mind. It's all a bit of a mishmash. Right, I was just checking on the weather there, and we can expect today 17 degrees. Can't we? Yes. Um, that's how I'm looking more familiar. Side. Oh, and a good morning to Jane. How are you, darling?
I'm very well.
That's great. She's got me my cup of coffee again. I am pampered when I come in here. I'm pampered. It's lovely. Okay, we're going to hit 24 today. Oh my goodness me, the hot weather is back. 24 degrees and sunny intervals and a gentle breeze. We're going to get some cloud, very little rain, almost no chance of rain. And that's wow. I hadn't realized that we were going to get quite as hot today. Woohoo! And this is on the 7th of July. It is indeed the 7th of July. Let's now go to the gloom and doom, the things that cast clouds over what should be a nice summer's day. Um, right, okay. Here we go. The Times. Johnson fights for his life. Well, let's see what they had to say. The survival of Boris Johnson's government continues to lead the British national newspapers. Johnson fights for his life. Headlines The Times. As it writes, the Prime Minister declared he was absolutely determined to stay on, despite more than 40 ministers quitting government since Tuesday. Well, they would, wouldn't they? One and they all go. It says Mr. Johnson claimed his resignation would lead to a general election, keeping the Conservatives out of power for decades. It quotes an ally of the Premier saying it is an utter illusion if people think they can topple Boris and think it will be happily ever after. Well, I have to say that I have some sympathy for that viewpoint. It's not so much okay. He's a pretty dicey character, is our Boris. He pulls fast ones all the time. But the fact of the matter is the lightweight cabinet who is going to take over at a time of national crisis. We're at war. Putin is getting more and more bellicose. Right? His troops are slowly, gaining ground. We've got an energy crisis. We've got an inflation crisis. We've got a food crisis. We've got a crisis. At least he's been bloodied in it. And I hope that these people who want him out for political gain understand what they're doing to the country. I don't have an axe to grind for Boris any more than anybody else. But I am terrified at change at this particular stage, particularly when we're only 18 months from an election. So I think that to some extent that report in the Times has got it right. The Daily Telegraph: mortally wounded Prime Minister defies the cabinet demands that he quit. He is mortally wounded. Well, he's wounded. Whether mortally or not, I don't know. But Dominic Raab and the new Chancellor, Nadim Zahawi, Hawi, at the Prime Minister's questions yesterday. The mortally wounded Prime Minister insisted there would be 3 months of chaos while Tories picked a new leader. The paper also quotes an ally of Mr. Johnson describing Mr. Gove as always being treacherous, disloyal, self-obsessed, untrustworthy. Wow! Any more? The Levelling Up secretary was sacked after meeting Mr. Johnson in a bid to call for his resignation. Financial Times: Johnson rocked by the cabinet revolt. Well, he is. I think he saw it coming. The thing is, he's probably got a same view of the cabinet as me. They're lightweights, and that's a problem. I mean, that really is a problem. Who do we want to lead us? All right. The FT says Johnson is confronting Downing Street by once loyal cabinet ministers. Well, they depended on their post for him, didn't they? The Daily Mail: Boris stares down the mutiny. Actually, the Mail reports that cabinet ministers asking the Prime Minister to resign drew comparisons with Margaret Thatcher and her downfall. But Mr. Johnson sent them packing, using his mandate of 40 million voters at the last election by jointly staying on, it adds, to justify staying on. The Sun: you'll have to dip your hands in blood to get rid of me, says the Sun. That's what he's saying, quoting Boris says. You'll have to dip your hands in blood. It quotes an unnamed ally of Mr. Johnson's, accusing dissenters of overthrowing the elected will of the people. The paper says the Prime Minister is vowing to go down fighting. But one anonymous member of Parliament tells the paper the Prime Minister has lost his mind. Oh, I tell you, I'd lose my mind too if I was under that sort of pressure. Goodness gracious me. Goodness gracious me. The Guardian, what do you say? Desperate, deluded PM clings to power. There's no evidence that he's deluded at all. He's in a political scrap, the like of which hasn't been seen in Westminster for, well, not since 1990s, when Margaret Thatcher was toppled. But the Guardian splashes on a picture of desperate, deluded Mr. Johnson. The Daily Express: the PM's last stand. Back me or face political oblivion. And, you know, he's right. Everybody is so pissed off. They're not necessarily pissed off with Boris. They're just pissed off generally. And when they get pissed off generally, then they start to choose all sorts of different ideas. So you can either see Keir Starmer, or it's just possible, although the leadership is very poor, is a resurgence of the Liberal Democrats. But one thing is for sure, that the political face is going to change. And those people who are trying to dump him, if they think that they're just going to walk in and sit in a nice cozy chair and watch the world go by, have got another thing coming. Cripes: my work chums say I'm a lying wazzock and are all deserting me, says the Star. Yeah, you got to love the Star. Haven't we just got to love the Star? It mocks up an agency agony aunt letter from Mr. Johnson. The Prime Minister asks, how can I convince the public I'm not a complete and utter shameless chancer? Oh, well done, the Star. Well done them all, really. Yeah. So it's another political day of all sorts of whoop-de-doo and run rabbit, run. Is that we absolutely we we can we can carve everything in this country, can't we? I had an email from my sister-in-law on the west coast of Canada saying, what the hell's going on in Britain? And she goes on to say that their news is filtered. Oh dear, 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 dear. Oh dear, 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 dear. Oh, let's okay. Let's go to Ben Stone and Jazzy Frenchie. Yes, let's. Well, there we are. Ben Sound, jazzy, friendly. Yes, friendly, yes. Oh, Frenchy, sorry. Oh, well, never mind. It's that hour in the morning. Can't see, can't feel, can't touch. Anyway, the back pages are really getting off the mark and letting us have some good news. And England Lionesses, their ladies team beat Austria 1-0 in the opening round of their World Cup. Um, and the really kind words now about the cricketers who battled their way to victory, and they're doing it in style, right? Aren't they? Very entertaining. Let's see. The golf isn't so hot. And a trans bat for female races. Oh gosh, it gets into the political stuff. The back page is keeping up a grin on everybody's face, and whatever feel good factor there is, the politicians are dragging down. And I say the politicians, not just Boris. He's the focal for all these ambitious people who want to be prime minister and be hopeless at it. God only knows who they think that they are going to bring into a cabinet, or if they became leader. Uh, anyway, they'll all be fighting one another next week if there is a leadership bid, because they'll all be up for grabs. Michael Gove will be in there, Jeremy Hunt will be in there, but I fear all yesterday's men. And indeed, the prime movers here, um, uh, Sunak and who is the other one? Huh. Shows their moment of fame has disappeared, has gone. Mm. So it's all going to be a lot of infighting with a lot of people who really shouldn't even be in the battle. Is our political system is in crisis as much as the country. The way we choose MPs has nothing to do with fairness or justice. It's just been taken over by the power brokers to make sure they get standing as candidates the people they want, not the people that would be best for us. Yes, I'm chewing on a biscuit. A biscuit, as one of the cartoon characters used to say. A biscuit. So outside, it's going to be a roaring hot day. 24. Scattered clouds. Not much chance of rain. Only a light breeze. Whoa! Who are we to say nay? Nay, nay, nay. Ha. The trouble is, the country is falling apart at the seams. Our local governance is appalling. I'm having a fight with O2 that just shows the nonsense that corporate Britain has got itself into. They should have all their licenses lifted. The thing is, the argument that I just put up for Boris is the same as if you took the license away from O2 or BT or one of the big boys, what do you replace it with? I've tried the small guys. They're worse. What we've got to do is to go back to fundamentals, is to start training people properly, to start working hard, to start working from an office where you can talk face to face and not rely upon these computers to do the job for you, because they can't, and they don't, and they won't, and they aren't. All in all, the country has gone to hell on a haycart, or whatever the saying is. It was Talleyrand, the French foreign minister in the late 1700s, is considered to be the master of diplomacy. And one thing that he said when writing the rules is the art of diplomacy is telling somebody to go to hell and persuading him he's going to enjoy the ride. That's what we need at the moment. Is not all this doom and gloom, and this is where it's at. It's like them playing a game. The 650 are playing a game as if the rest of us didn't matter. Well, first of all, spectators expect value for money for their game, and they're not getting it from Westminster at the moment. Secondly, politics isn't something to be lightly played with. It has serious purpose, and that serious purpose has disappeared. In fact, for the 650, all purpose has disappeared. They're all too busy plotting and scheming and conniving, and we do not pay them for that. I'm sorry, we do not pay you for that. When are you going to start to realise that? Not at all, I guess. What they need is a breeze blowing through Westminster. A breeze. We need another war of Battle of Lewes. 1264. Simon de Montfort. And what did he do? He got himself killed the next year. A lot of this is really very upsetting. Very upsetting, to say the least. And yet people are more upset with a bloody iced cake and a pint of beer. You could tell it was going to come to that. They were all so wrapped up in such nonsense and trivia. They let the serious things in our lives, in our country, and in the world slip by. And now it's all a matter of excuses. If we can divert attention from the fact that we were culpable, and you were culpable, 650 of you were culpable, and now you're trying hard to pretend that it's somebody else's fault. Have a go at the boss. Ha! For breeze. Breeze with telecasted. Oh gosh, we're booming out. We're knocking your brains out again. Let's turn down the microphones. You are listening to Rouser Radio out of Lewes, East Sussex, out of the White Hart Hotel, the very hotel where Tom Paine wrote and developed his theories about the rights of man. The very theories that now give us a House of Commons where 650 people can batter each other's brains out and totally ignore those who are elected. But nonetheless, it was a good idea at the time. And that's where the rights of man and the loss of the colonies was developed, right here where I'm sitting, right in the middle of Lewes. Ha, 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 ha. Well, we must actually say well done to the lady footballers of England who have got through the first round. Nobody knew quite how they would perform on the international stage, and I believe that they've actually lost to Austria in the past. But last night, they came up trumps. They won by a very slim margin, just 1-0. But 1-0 is 1-0, and it's a win. So well done, the ladies. And Wimbledon carries on with some old names and some new. So that's actually it's become quite exciting. It's not the docile, the grass court, hit the ball backwards and forwards, strawberries and champagne that we've been used to in the past. That's coming alive. Our cricketers have done a magnificent job, a really magnificent job. Doesn't matter what they do for the rest of the season here, they most certainly can hold their head up with pride. And they put a spark back into cricket again, where people are interested in it, knowing that they're heroics. And there have been heroics, 5 matches in a row. Wow, wow, wow. That's the good news. Then he is in Westminster. We're not sure who is scoring what, but I suspect that there is an awful lot of own goal scoring going on, and the perpetrators are going to be left ruining the day that they actually felt so prim and proper about things, so prim and proper, because with the state of the world, the state of the country, and for that matter, the state of the towns and villages at the moment, it is going to need a superb leader to get us back out. But mostly those people who will be in the frame are just politicians. They just play at it. They just want to be Prime Minister in name. They want a cabinet seat in name. Oh, they'll strut. They'll wave the little flag. But generally speaking, they are not worth the candle. We have got to get our governance right. We do. What do you say to that? Thank you. I needed somebody to support my point of view, which is as ever radical and startling and direct. And that's what we want to hear from you. It's a good direct viewpoint. I really do find it very funny that the BBC, like a lot of establishment things, they just go along with the norm and then expect us all to jump on board. They went to Stoke-on-Trent to take a sample this morning of how voters think about Boris Johnson. Well, now, Stoke is interesting politically because it changed hands last time and with a real swing and was very much supportive of Brexit. And the poor interviewers struggled to get anybody to say anything, either positive or negative. It was sort of, get on with it. So it didn't do us any good in terms of giving us a feel for what the country is thinking. What is the country thinking? Well, yes, there are lemmings. The moment that you actually give them a sense of blood, smell of blood, off they go, rushing after it, not even knowing whose blood it is that's being spilled. And that's as an element of that, large element of that at the moment, and particularly from the so-called cabinet members and the MPs who have all put in their resignations and so on, is that they haven't thought it through. I tell you, they have not thought it through. I haven't thought it through. It's not my job to think it through. All I know is that, for almost a shadow of a doubt, is that out of the current pack, there is nobody that can offer the leadership that's required with some of the problems that we've got at the moment, whether that be war, pestilence, economy, you name it. And at 7:59, facing a day of 24 degrees, a light breeze, a little bit of cloud overcast, but generally speaking, it's going to be a cracker of a summer's day, is do we care? And that really is the question, is do we care? But also, our society has been nibbled at the edges. Corporate governance is in a dreadful state because it relies upon computers, and it's not listening to its customers. Press 1, press 2, press 3 is not good enough anymore. We want to start to talk to people, human resources. Chuck your bloody computers into the water and leave it there. No, I don't really mean that. Computers can be very, very helpful, are very, very helpful, but they have to be helpful. You cannot expect a computer to run a company, and that's what's happening. So forget the politics for a minute. Corporate Britain is in a dreadful, dreadful state. It really is. It is in a dreadful, dreadful, dreadful state. And that goes beyond corporate, beyond governance. It goes to the NHS. It goes to sacred cows, such as some of our things like Ofgen or Ofcom. Good morning. And it's all in all, we are just out of it. Nobody has got a clue. They all want to lead. They all want to lead. Give me the job and I'll show you how to lead as being a clueless man or woman. Yeah, sure. You will as well. The trouble is that it's just not in the interests of this particular time, of the people of this particular time, when we are faced with so many crises. All right, let's go to a kind of a party with the mini vandals. Oh, my lovely mini vandals. Here we are, kind of a party with a mini vandals. I'm getting used to that one. I like it. I rather like it. Now, what else is going on? There should be travel chaos, of course, gets worse and worse and worse. Not worth. I mean, why? Once again, like lemmings, everybody knows that they're likely to spend their travel time at the airport, but they still buy tickets in the thousands, turns up in the millions, and all get stuck. Let's see, a new episode today, and every Thursday at 5 p.m. What's this is? Palace Confidential is our weekly must-watch talk show for the male subscribers. All right, well, it's okay. If they've got a talk show, why not? The record-breaking list of 46 resignations. Right. Polo, Pims, and a peck from her prince. Kate and William yesterday getting cosy after he played polo and she'd watched and had a picnic on the sideline or other. Right, Zawi set to scrap Rishi's corporation tax increase. Right, okay, they're going a populist view. Cripes, could Theresa be drafted in as caretaker PM? Oh, God, help us. No, I haven't considered that one. Oh, dear, 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 dear. Oh, dear, 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 dear. At 8:05, that's giving me indigestion. Hours of first fist-chewing, eye-shielding brutality. If Boris, the wounded beast, battle on. Good for him. I like fighters. After all, what would he have done about Thermopylae if the 500 Spartans hadn't held off the Persians? Has there ever been a crazier political panto? Asks one columnist. Let's see, Daniel Martin in the Mail. Jabs at the PM. Time for maximum damage. The Saj and Rishi coup. They claim is no such thing. Oh dear. So I wonder where he's going if Boris wins today. He's a new chancellor who came to the UK speaking no English and was viciously bullied at school. From Iraqi refugee to millionaire, the making of Tory's new star. Well, we better give you the name, hadn't we? There's Nadim Zahawi, who is the new chancellor. Wow, what the heck? Crowing Romaniacs. Eurocrats back Tory plotters to bid for a regime change in number 10. But is Brussels playing for time over Northern Ireland? Thinking of quitting BBC is strictly out of order. Ed stuns GMB fans with anti-Boris G. Oh, yeah, that's Ed Balls is now supposedly the presenter of news. And more, he's charming, he's funny, but the more patently biased man you could not get giving news. And PM prime ministers should be ousted by the people, not a bunch of TV pundits and bureaucrats deranged by Brexit hatred. That's a commentary by Daniel Johnson. The self-inflicted wounds are legion, but the truth is, Mr. Johnson still stands head and shoulders above any of his would-be assassins. Quite right, absolutely right. It is the people that will never be seen again after all this kerfuffle is over. They probably won't be re-elected. Wow. But then again, could it be the realignment of British politics that we so desperately need? Could it sort out these weak-kneed villains who keep getting us into, because they simply fail to understand the people they represent? They just fail. Right. Right. Okay. Craig Brown writing in the Mail says, Nero, he's just a chap for a crisis. He's fiddled. And actually, that's exactly, what a good analogy. That's exactly what's happening to our politicians at the moment. They're fiddling while Rome burns. We are in desperate trouble on so many fronts. Are they worried about it? No. Much better that we actually mumble, and sling mud and so on. Right. And then we got pictures of David Beckham watching Wimbledon. Why is that so exciting? I don't know. I can't tell. Right, MI5 and FBI chiefs, Chinese spies pose a breathtaking threat. Yeah, we've got all these things. And who gives a fig? No, 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 no. Much better look after an iced cake in number 10. Oh, here's something else. There's a survey that says 1 in 4 councils are pushing schools to teach a biased race theory. Ah, right. Oh, here's one on food inflation. Right, is ketchup has gone from £2 to £2.79. Lamb chops from £5 to £5.44. Well, that's not quite such a bad, 9% increase. Flour, 61p, now 69p. The tin of beans, 90p to 120. 4 oranges, 140 to 148. And so it goes on. Lots of other comparisons. We must keep that, I think. We must keep that. Here's one on the side. It is apparently Emmanuel Macron, who's fancied himself as being the pacifier of Vladimir Putin. Apparently, they had a phone call, and Macron sort of, kept saying, "Leave it to me. I'll stop him invading." And apparently there was one hell of a bust up, which is only just beginning to come out. Well, there we are. That's a little snapshot of what's happening this morning. So Boris under attack. The girls romp home with a 1-0 football win. And goodness gracious me, there are all sorts of other things that are going on that are interest and concern, but you wouldn't guess from our leadership. No, you wouldn't. 650. Oh, I'd love to give them the boot. It's 11 minutes past 8. So what shall we do? Yeah, we could actually go Young Love from Young Lagos. Your Love from Young Lagos. Well, from the softness of your love to the realities of politics today and what that means to our way of life. and it's going to mean one hell of a lot. So what's going on today is of more than passing interest. So a quick look. The front pages. Johnson fights for life and stares down a mutiny amongst his cabinet ministers. Goodness gracious me! Is Will he win? I don't know. On the back pages, the Lionesses, England football team, ladies football team, won 1-0 over Austria. And in the rest of the world, it is going to be a nice day, reaching 14. So that's it from Rouser Radio. Come back to us at 8:30 for Mirador Television, and we'll be looking at some of these things together with you as we motor through the day. Till tomorrow, toodle toodle pip. Goodness gracious me, yes, toodle toodle pip. In fact, there we go.